Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the relationship advice subreddit. The post is titled, "I think my wife of 25 years is cheating. Need help." I am totally new to this, and it is nice just to get this off my chest. This is going to be a very long one, and I am not a good writer, so hang in there with me. We have been together a long time, and I think you need some history to see how we ended up where we are. My wife and I met when we were both in college. We were both working part-time and going to school full-time, and met while we were on lunch break from our jobs. I thought she was very, very pretty, so I went to eat there again, hoping to see her again. She came up to me and started talking to me the next time we were both there, and I was sure she was interested, so I asked her out. We quickly started dating, and after a couple of years, we got married. When we met, I was just finishing school, and the company I was working for part-time offered me a full-time management position. My wife was still in school, and I was paying for her college in full. I actually started paying for her college shortly after we became a couple because she came from a very large family, and they could not afford to help her. Working part-time, she did not have much either, and I was then working full-time, so I paid for her schooling. She is very smart, brilliant actually, graduated with honors, and after a couple of not-so-great jobs, got a really good professional job that she stayed at for many years, making good money with very good benefits. During our dating years and our early marriage, we had a great sex life. We did not have sex every single day, but when we did, it was wild and sometimes quite kinky. I was fairly popular in high school, captain of the football team, and in college. I was in good shape, ran half marathons, and so on. I guess I did all right with the ladies and had a number of partners and one long-term girlfriend who got a little kinky. My wife, however, was much more experienced than I was. She was younger than me, but had many more partners and had done much more sexually than I had. She liked to party and go a little wild when she partied, so she had a bit of a well-earned reputation. I found out all about it from a mutual friend right from the start, and I was fine with it. If anything, it made me like her all the more early in our relationship. She would always tell me how good I was and how I was the first person who cared about her needs and made sure she was satisfied. That always made me feel good, and to this day, I always make sure she is satisfied before I am. I am fairly average in all ways, so I always felt the need to put in maximum effort to make sure my partner wanted me and would not stray, thinking they could get better sex from someone else. After a few years of marriage, I decided to pursue a dream of starting my own sports team, and it was a real struggle to get things off the ground. My wife helped me every step of the way, and to make things even more interesting, we bought a big house at about the same time. We were both working our regular jobs and now working to get this new business going. I probably did not get more than 4 hours of sleep a night for the next 20 years, and that is not an exaggeration. Money was pretty tight at this time. Because of all the time I was spending with my new team, I changed jobs a few times and was putting a lot of my own money into the team to build it up. My wife was bringing home more money than I was, and there were a few arguments about money and how much I was spending, but all in all, we were rock solid. She was my best friend, wife, and lover. The team travels to events every weekend during the season, and probably 90% of the time, my wife traveled with me and was by my side all the time before we had children. Some events were not far from home, so I would be home late that night even if she did not go. This meant that I missed a lot of family and friend occasions. She went to many family and friends' weddings and other things solo. She even took a few trips with her single friends to the beach for a week to hang out and relax. She loves the beach. Shortly after our 5th wedding anniversary, I was looking for some team pictures, and my wife told me to look in the drawers in a spare room. I found pictures of her bachelorette party. We talked about it afterwards, and she told me about all the drinking, dancing, and flirting with some men, saying it was pretty innocent and tame. My bachelor party was quite wild, and some of the wildest things were done by her brothers, so I was a fairly good boy and was not worried about hers at all. Well, the pictures painted a slightly different picture. Her maid of honor bought her a stripper and was thoughtful enough to take pictures so she would remember the night, I suppose. There was a lot of alcohol, and the pictures showed the stripper performing and my wife dancing on him, having a good time. The last photo showed him completely naked, standing in front of her with her hand wrapped around his genitals. finals. I was shocked. I took the photos, immediately showed them to her, and asked what was going on. She said she had not told me about the stripper because she did not want me to get jealous, and that all her friends encouraged her to touch him. She was quite drunk, so she did. She swore up and down that was all that happened, and since I had done about the same at my party that same night, I did not think I could be too upset. I was really only angry that she did not tell me about it. She knew exactly what happened at mine. All her brothers told her. This made me realize that she could do something and leave out details when she told me and not feel she was lying at all. It always left a nagging little doubt in my mind about those beach trips and whether she was completely honest about them. A few years later, things were greatly improving. We waited to have children because we wanted to be able to provide for them properly. My sports team really started to take off and was making us money instead of costing us money. We both had good jobs and we decided it was time to have children. We had 2 children 4 years apart and everything was going great. The sports team was winning championships, awards, and so on. I started to become a bit of a local celebrity. Everyone knew who I was. I was doing television interviews, radio, and so on. It was just local and regional, nothing big time, but things were going very well. In fact, between the births of my 2 children, my wife and I were having the most intimacy we ever had in our relationship. Those were wild, crazy times that we both seemed to enjoy very much. There was even some internet content and she was the star. Remember, she is very pretty and a bit adventurous too. These were probably the best days of my life. It is also very important to note that even though we were having some wild times, it was just the 2 of us. We talked about ever being with others and both completely agreed it was an absolute deal breaker. She told me if I ever cheated, we were finished, no questions asked. We were still very close, but I recently learned that after our 2nd child was born, that is when she started resenting the sports team. She has now told me that it bothered her that I was getting all the attention, awards, and so on after she had done so much work and sacrificed so much to get things started. Now we had children and she could not or did not want to bring them to all our events, so she started traveling with the team less and less. I promised that I always asked her to go, as I really wanted her there with me. A few more years passed and my wife's father passed away. They were very close and he was very protective of his daughter. As a side note, he did not like me at all at first, but warmed up to me and I really liked and respected him a lot. After a short period, my wife announced that she was quitting her job and going back to school to change careers and follow in her father's footsteps. I was a little worried because that meant I would have to pay for her to attend college again, take care of 2 young children, work my regular job, and run my team as well, since she would be a full-time student. I really wanted to support her though because I knew how much it meant to her and how much support she had given me when I started my team. She attended summer and evening classes and got through as fast as she could. I made it work as best as I could. The children and I look back on these times fondly, me picking them up from daycare, cooking, and them tagging along to team events at night. Things seem to be going great. Fast forward to a few years ago, and we were doing so well that I said I wanted to take her away for a week to her favorite beach, just the 2 of us as a second honeymoon. We did not have much money for our first honeymoon, so it was not that great, and I wanted to make it up to her. The trip went wonderfully. She loved the beach, and we were intimate even more than during our first honeymoon. That is when things seemed to start going badly. After that trip, even though the children were older, she did not want to travel with the team anymore. She started wanting to take a trip every summer to the beach right in the middle of my season, knowing I could not go. She said I could come if I wanted, but she was going either way. She explained that she was tired of missing out, and since we were doing so well, we could afford the trips, so she was going. She would take the children and usually invite some of her family along, but it still made me feel bad. She did not get to go this year, but has already told me she is going next year without me again. I do not believe she is meeting anyone on these trips, but I still do not think it is a good sign. Over the last several years, she seems to resent my team more and more. She comes around the team so little now that even friends ask me what is going on. If you have stayed with me this long, the novel is coming to an end. About 2 years ago, she started talking about a new coworker a lot, and you can probably see where this is going. She tells me how smart he is, all the new ideas he has, and how they have become friends very quickly, which is unusual as she has not made friends with her coworkers that much. I began getting bad feelings about this from the start. Then her company planned a big outing, taking a bus trip to a large city for a fancy dinner and show, and spouses were invited. I went partially just so I could meet this man. He is bigger than me, around 6 feet 2 inches, but he is quite overweight and out of shape. However, it was obvious to me from the way he looked at my wife that he liked her. I asked her about him when we were alone, and she said they were just friends and that I should not worry. "Just look at him," she said. "I could never be attracted to someone like that." On the bus ride home, she asked me not to sit next to her so she could stretch out and fall asleep, as it was close to 1 in the morning. Honestly, it upset me because I figured her coworker would be sitting with her soon enough. She did not sit with him for most of the trip, but for the last half hour, he came up and sat next to her, and they talked for the rest of the way home. Of course, I asked what they were talking about, and she said it was a work project coming up that they would be working on together. My instincts were screaming, but I had no proof anything was going on. Things actually seemed to cool off for a while, as I think they both had other big projects that kept them apart, but I am not at all sure about it. One thing is for certain though, she stopped sleeping with me. She says it is because of my snoring, and I do snore. I offered to sleep in another room so she would not have to sleep on the couch, so now we are sleeping in separate rooms. Let us call that red flag number 3, although I am not really counting. It gets worse. Our intimacy stopped shortly thereafter as well. That is a giant red flag. She always wanted intimacy, but now she says medical issues are bothering her. The children might hear, or she gives 1,001 other excuses why she does not want to anymore. I have tried to talk to her about this several times and it never goes well. I do my best to keep my cool, but I have asked if there is someone else because I figure if she is not getting affection or intimacy from me, she is getting it from someone else. Looking back, I wish I had not said that. Maybe then she would have let her guard down. About a month or so ago, one night at around midnight, her phone started blowing up. She used to leave it downstairs at night to charge, and I was going to be sleeping downstairs that night. I got lucky and figured out her password, and of course, her coworker was the one texting her. I stayed up all night reading their texts and going through her phone. It was a Friday night, so I did not have to be at work the next morning, but we did have a team event, which I honestly did not care about at that point. He was texting her about how much he missed her and hoped they would see each other soon. There were missing texts in conversations when things were getting more heated, and it was obvious from the conversations that it seemed as if there were phone calls and other things missing as well. As I said from the start, she is a very smart woman, and you could tell she was trying to hide certain things. There were countless I love yous, far more than I have heard in the last few years. Lots of I miss you, I miss your hugs, blowing kisses emojis, and much more. There were even some selfies at company events together with comments about how cute they looked, and it went on and on. The only thing is, there was no actual discussion of intimacy or proof of a physical affair. Obviously, it looks to me as though there is something going on. She has the time as I work a lot and spend time with the team, and I think she assumes I have the motive. There have been a lot of other red flags that I believe I chose to ignore until now. She has had to work late frequently over the last year or so. There were a couple of work trips. She has suddenly started drinking quite a bit every night, and many other things. I suppose my fear of losing everything I have worked so hard for kept me from confronting this sooner. The day after I went into her phone, I asked my oldest child if her coworker was married. I thought he was, and my oldest had interned at my wife's company before the lockdown happened, so I figured they would know. They asked why, and I made up a lie about seeing him on Facebook without a wife and thinking he was married. That child immediately went to my wife and told her I was asking about her coworker. My wife then came storming into my office and screamed at me about looking through her phone. She knew instantly why I would ask about that, and I am sure I gave off several signs that I was suspicious about something going on. She then went through all the usual things people do when accused of cheating. She denied everything. I had taken screenshots, so she only admitted to what I had proof of, which was not much. She blamed me for invading her privacy and for a lot of other things too, basically turning it around and saying that I drove her to seek out this close emotional friendship with him, but that is all it was. I knew I did not have evidence of anything more, so I said I was not accusing her of anything, but she had to agree it looked pretty bad from my point of view, given everything that was happening in our relationship. She got even angrier because I stayed calm and would not yell back, and she stormed out. I have spent a lot of time on Reddit since then and realized just how many mistakes I have made. Since that confrontation, she has been hiding her phone, changed her passwords on everything, and made sure I cannot find anything else very easily. I did ask her about this, and she told me I invaded her privacy, but if I want her phone, I can have it. I politely told her that I know how smart she is, and if she wants to hide something from me, she is certainly smart enough to figure out how. So where do I go from here? I just want the truth. We had one other talk, but it was more of the same. I do not want to lose everything, but if she is a lying cheater, I do not want that either. The worst part is I still love her with all my heart. She is so smart, beautiful, and a great mother to my children, who are both brilliant like her, topping their classes. I know I am not perfect. I can be pretty intense, work a lot, and have made many mistakes, I am sure, but I have tried really hard to give her a good life. I just want the truth, no matter if it is gonna hurt or not. No half-truths or trickling the truth to me. God, this sucks. Any good advice is appreciated. Thanks in advance. Update. I will try not to drone on, so 2 quick parts as I have received a few direct messages asking for more updates. Part 1. We have tried to stay together and work through things. A lot of things have gone a lot better. We have had more intimacy in the last month than in the last year, and it has been very good. After a few more rough patches, she has given me total access to her phone and all social media. He still texts her, but she only gives a very short, usually one-word answers. I think he is still trying, but she is keeping her answers very short, mostly just about work. So all in all, really good, right? Well, our anniversary came and I really tried to do some nice things. I bought her favorite dessert, bought flowers, took time off from work to deliver them to her as a surprise, and so on. She cried and cried. She said she did not deserve it and would not stop crying. She would not tell me what was wrong. This happened twice and seemed like serious guilt to me, but she would not tell me what was wrong, so I am left to think the worst. She also accused me of tracking her with GPS when she was going out to lunch with coworkers. She said I would see it on the GPS I am supposedly tracking her with, so she wanted to let me know why she was going there. Maybe it is not a bad thing to let her think I am. She did not give me a chance to tell her I was not. I just let her comments go. Then the bomb dropped last night. Part 2, she has a son that she had when she was very young and gave him away to a very nice family. He wants to connect with my wife and our children. She wants to tell our children about him this weekend and wants to let him meet his half-siblings. She showed me his picture. I had never seen him before. He apparently looks like his father because he has no similarities to my wife. She went to a family wedding last year and talked to him when I was away. They know a lot about each other's families and have been following each other through social media. She basically says I have no say in any of this since it is her son and I have no relation to him and he is my children's half-brother. I do not know what to think anymore. Final update. Apparently, this was picked up again on YouTube, so I have been getting a lot of people looking for an update. To make a very long story short, we are now divorced. She would not stop contact with the other person. She showed no remorse and kept shifting the blame. She never really came clean. I know in my heart that I gave it my very best to save what we had. Did I make mistakes? Yes. Looking back, of course, I would have done things differently, but it is what it is. I had enough. I lost a lot in the divorce, but it had to happen. I kept the home and teams, but I had to give up everything else. Retirement savings and so on, but it was worth it. I am good now. It still hurts to think about it, but it gets better every day. I am enjoying all the things in my life again. My brother and his family have really been there for me. Thanks, brother. I do not want to be too long, so if there is anything else, I will try to answer. So there is your final update. The Rob Show said, this post is incredibly long for the nothing burger of her completely obvious cheating and him dwelling on the fact that it may or may not have been physical when it was. It very obviously was physical. My dream of owning a sports team. If your sports team of more than 20 years is not profitable enough to be your full-time job and you have to do both, you need to drop it. It clearly ruined his marriage and he watched the entire time as she increasingly withdrew more and more. His relationship with his children cannot be that great either if one of them is actively hiding an affair and the other is probably aware and does not care. Then he gave up his entire retirement in order to keep the team that probably was not close to as high of whatever valuation was placed on it if it cannot even turn a good enough profit to replace his full-time employment. Delusional. To this user, Glitter Doomsday said not only his relationship with her, but also with his children. All those milestones, trips, and family gatherings he missed will not be magically fixed. The children know their mother was in the wrong, but they have so little connection to their father that a "we do not want to get caught in the middle" attitude is the best he is going to receive from them. He was not there helping with homework, taking them to buy school supplies, or driving them to school while listening to whatever Disney soundtrack the children were obsessed with on repeat. He does not realize it now, but he failed as a father more than anything else. Eriki said, "I did not read all of that nonsense, but from what I understand, this man thinks very highly of himself on a superficial level, never really paid attention to his wife's emotional needs, and was constantly gone for long periods from his family. I do not know why people who spend so little time with their wives and children decide to have a wife and children. If you are not going to be there, then of course they are going to find someone else." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.